What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? We're live. What's up, Jay? Hey, Jersey Red. Akshat. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Friday night, Saturday morning. How's everybody doing? Everybody good? Everybody can hear me okay? All right, Rick Sticks. What's up? Good to see you. Thanks for joining tonight. Hope everybody's well. Tonight we're going to do another rhythm styles workshop. Jody 1, excellent. Steve O, what's up? Mario from Norway, excellent. Good morning and welcome. Awesome. Danny. All right, Danny Ryan, excellent. Steve from Melbourne, good day. Jim King, hey, he's back from Toronto, from north of Toronto. All right, Jim, good to see you again. Teddy. What's up? Igor from Mexico City. Awesome. Hey, Zane, what's up? And guitars, lighten up the guitars, Jersey Red. And Jim Gregory, of course. Welcome back, sir. All right. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for joining. If you're new to the stream, expand the description below this video. There's a link to a PDF that will show you the tabs that we're going to go through tonight. Rhythm styles workshop. So just sort of a sampling of some different styles, just some different rhythm guitar type exercises, examples, those kind of things, and hopefully spur some inspiration for you to spend a little more time on the guitar and, try and practice more and all that kind of good stuff, right? King 50, all right, from Nevada. Excellent. Craig, what's up from Melbourne? Awesome. Elias, good to see you, sir. Digging the Gibson, yeah. Ever since I got it in my hands, it's been a staple here. I'll start switching it up a little more in the next coming weeks. Right on, Erica. Good to see you again. Hello, hello. All right. So cool. Thanks for joining, everybody. And another rhythm styles, and we'll do something a little bit different next week. But all right, Ron from Boston is back. Good to see you. Excellent. So I usually try to start off these sessions with something sort of for the beginners out there. And I thought what I would do is be a little more intentional with practicing some strumming subdivisions. And what we mean by that is when we think of a pulse, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's all sorts of spaces in between those that we can strum. And those are called subdivisions when we kind of divide the beat into different subdivisions, right? So let's see here. Peter made it. All right. Bob from Alexandria, Virginia. Bob, welcome. And Fringold Six Fingers. All right. Welcome. And DT from Toronto. Excellent. DT. All right. So getting to this first exercise, we've got a chord progression here that's going to go A minor to E minor to an open G. And this particular open G, I've got the 3rd fret of the B string added onto it. Or I don't, actually, in this case. I misspoke. So just your regular open G chord with the open D, G, and B. All right, Rich, what's up? Good morning. And then a little curveball, a D minor, open D minor, okay? So this little chord change right here can be a little bit tricky, right? So another reason to throw this into your practice routine a little bit, just we've got some open chords, but that G to D minor can be a little tricky, okay? But what we've also done to make it a little trickier is just subdivide the beat a little bit differently. So let's take the first bar first, or the first measure, just on A minor. And what you'll see is that we've got 2 quarter notes off the top. So that's on the 1, 2. We're going to just strum a downstroke. 1, 2. And then you're going to see the 3rd beat is broken up into 2 1/8 notes. So now in the time of that 3rd beat going into the 4th beat, we're going to strum twice. And I'm going to keep it downstroke. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, and. Now the tricky one is the 4th beat, because now I've subdivided the space between the 4th beat and the top of the next bar, which is the next one. I've put 4 strums in there, okay? And those are called 16th notes. And now I have to add an upstroke into that strum, okay? So this time it's going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4 E and up. Or down, 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 up, down, up. So we're running the gamut here. In one bar, we've got quarter notes, we've got eighth notes, and we've got 16th notes. Okay, so it's really good to practice this. If you start to practice this for a couple minutes in your practice routine, 2 or 5 minutes or whatever, use a metronome or use some sort of a drum. It could be a drum loop, whatever it is, but some sort of steady reference there so that you can lock on the pulse. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and up. Okay, but then the next curveball comes in the second bar. We go to the E minor. And if you look at the music for this, it starts out the same, but that fourth beat, instead of being subdivided into 4 strums, I've changed it to 3 strums, and these are called eighth note triplets. Okay? So in the time between the fourth beat and the top of the next bar, instead of subdividing it equally into 4 subdivisions, I've subdivided equally into 3 subdivisions. Okay, and that gives us a triplet sound. So 1, 2, 3, and triplet. Okay, let me play it through those first 2 bars, and we'll see what we're up against here. Okay. Okay, so it's a little bit different. Now you've got, turn it up a little bit. In the space where in the previous bar it would have been. Now notice your strums, okay? I'm doing all downstrokes in that second bar, okay? And the reason is that when you encounter a triplet strum, what's going to happen is going to throw your down ups off, because as I've talked about in plenty of previous sessions, we want to keep this motion going with your down ups to keep your timing nice and consistent. But that when the triplet comes along, it throws that out of whack, because you're not going to end up with the right feel coming in on the next downbeat, right? So the safest way to play a triplet is to do all downstrokes. And so that's what I've done in that second bar. So that second bar again, 1, 2, 3, and triplet. Okay, so the next 2 bars are the same strums as the first 2 bars, just with different chords. So when I go to the open G chord, 1, 2, 3, and down, up, down, up. And then that D minor in the 4th bar, 1, 2, 3, and triplet. So let me play this all the way through so you can get a sense of what this is supposed to sound like. I'm going to go through the chord progression twice, okay, and hopefully not mess it up so that you have a reference. If you're going to practice this over the next couple weeks or however often you want to do this, you can refer to this video and listen to me play it. If you use the speed buttons in the settings of YouTube, if you want to slow it down a little bit, but I'll go slowly with this, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a run through 2 times through that first exercise for you, okay? And this is a great thing to do, to be able to switch between all those different rhythms, because when you're actually playing music, that's what you're doing all the time, okay? mixing it up, mixing up those rhythms a little bit. All right, makes sense. Very dramatic. Yes, I don't know why I went minor with this progression, but yes, very dramatic the way it turned out. All right, Kenneth, what's up? Glad to join. Glad you're joining tonight. Just heads up to those of you joining for the first time tonight. We have tabs for this session. Expand the description below the video. There's a link to a PDF on Google Files or whatever Google in there. Jody 1, the triplets sound awkward in there. Well, maybe not. Maybe you're going for that sometimes, maybe not. But think of this more as some practice exercising, okay? What's up, James? How's it going? And actually, maybe I just played it poorly, Jody 1. But, if you had a whole band in there doing those rhythms, hopefully it wouldn't sound as awkward, because I feel like, people throw in triplet sort of accents all the time on kind of songs, right? So I don't think it's quite, maybe I just played it super dramatic and super awkward. It's Ron and Jody. Thank you for the feedback. All right, cool. Lisa, what's up? Welcome. Okay, that's exercise 1. Let's move down. Okay, so rhythm styles, right? So Rick and Stick, 16th note triplets okay for down up strums. Yeah, well, it kind of depends the context. If you're going to stick 2 sets of triplets beside each other, and this goes for 8th note triplets or 16th note triplets, then it's actually okay to do that, because it'll work out that you'll start the next beat on a downstroke, right? So it might be something like a down, up, down, up, right? A set of 2 of those. So if you got a set of 2 triplets, that'll make the strumming work out if you're doing down ups, right? But sometimes that doesn't happen. What if it's something that has a 16th note triplet in, just by itself, and then it goes into another rhythm? Then that's like kind of a judgment call thing. And you may end up, just depending on the speed of it, you may end up having to start the next part on an upstroke and then kind of recalibrate after that, just depending on what the music is. So there's no hard, fast rules for this kind of thing, okay? So I sort of did the downstrokes in this example because it made the most sense, but it always depends on the context of the music, if that makes sense, hopefully. All right, James got his guitar fixed up at Guitar Center. Excellent. That's awesome. Thank you so much, DT Worden. All right, cool. Okay, so exercise 2, I've got sort of this indie rock pop sort of thing that I don't think I've covered really very often. I'm going to play it first. We'll talk about it a little bit. So this is the part. This is exercise 2 or example 2. Whoops. Let's do that again. Okay. So that's the exercise, and I was thinking of an actual song here. So if anyone kind of recognizes that a little bit, it's probably the song that that you might think of. But this is an interesting approach that I hear every once in a while on pop songs, indie rock songs, and it's a really cool way to play chords in a completely, sort of unique way, a little bit of a different way. Okay, so what I've got is basically a low note on the A string, 5th fret, and I've got a higher note on the 6th fret of the B string. So let's first talk about how to pluck these or pick these. Yeah, actually, Jim, that's a pretty good pretty good guess there, Wheel in the Sky. That, as it wasn't what I was thinking of, but it's very similar right there. It's got that same sound to it. These are wider interval. You could think of them as dyads, which are 2 notes at the same time, which are basically a melody note and a harmony. You can think of them as sort of outlining chord shapes, okay? And so what I've got is a D note and then a higher octave F note, right? So if I played the same thing in the same octave using 2 notes, it might be, what the heck? There we go. Okay. Like that, right? So, but with the higher, what we're doing is taking that note out of the same octave and putting it up an octave. So it sounds a little bit sweeter and it has a more unique kind of sound to it. Okay. If you've ever tried to figure out Blackbird and that kind of thing, is similar kind of shapes going up and down. Of course, that's happening with a lot more open strings ringing out, but you can just hit these two notes, right? And it has a really cool sound to it. So what I've done here is I've sort of laid out the chords a little bit so you can see this within the context of a full chord shape. So the first couple notes there come out of D minor, and all I'm doing is just playing the root and the minor third, which is up an octave. And I'm taking that shape because I'm using the A and the B strings, right? So a minor shape would look like that. And when I get up to the 8th fret here, which is an F note, and then I've got the major third in relation to an F note, but up an octave, the A note, 10th fret of the B string. Okay? Right on, Steve. What's up? How's it going? And so that full chord might be an F major bar chord, right? But here I am plucking it as just two notes, kind of outlining the chord. Okay? When I go up here, again, the minor shape to the major shape. So that would be an A minor to a B flat major, right? So if I take just this chord progression, if you just strummed it with, simple chords, right? Here you can be much more melodic and sort of lead, adding a melody to it and really making it more into a musical idea, a riff, right? So. Okay, that kind of idea. If it will, as I always tell you, take these examples and learn them, but try to expand upon them and, sort of experiment with them and see what you can come up with on your own on it. So as for being able to play a note on the A string and a note on the B string, you can just use finger picking, right? The thumb and one of your fingers plucking the B string. That's the cleanest way. You can also use hybrid picking, right? So if I'm holding the pick with the thumb and the index, you can use one of your free fingers to pluck the B string. Whoops. All right. So a really cool idea. I heard this, I believe there's a James Bay song. One of his hits sort of has that melodic idea, and that's kind of what he's doing with it. Makes sense? And of course, that works for Journey, Wheel in the Sky, same kind of thing. Wheel in the Sky is in D minor as well, so you can play with these shapes. It's a little bit of a different melody, right? And then you go down to A minor and play with those shapes. Just mess around with that. And of course, you can do this on different strings, right? I only chose the A and the B string, but you can do the same types of shapes using the low string and the G string or D string and the high string. All righty. Everybody hanging in. Doing good. Okay. Exercise 3, back to strumming. And what I want to do is do a simple chord progression, but add in what are known as some backbeat mutes. Those of you who don't know what the backbeat is, it's the 2 and 4 of a 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's usually where the snare drum hits 1, 2, 3, 4. And a lot of times, and not always, but in a lot of music, we put some emphasis on that backbeat. And so we'll dig in on the guitar a little bit more. In this case, what we're doing is just doing a muted strum on that. So let's have a look. I'm going to play through this. You might recognize this song, but it's got a muted strum in it. So let's see. So I think we talked about this idea a little bit the previous week. So check out last week because we talked about this in terms of using finger picking and doing that kind of thing of just sort of slapping. But you can also do this with a pick and strum it. And by the way, yes, everybody, that's sort of what I was thinking with this example was that song, right? And what you can do is come down and work on this muted downstroke with your karate chop on the strings. Okay, so I'm just sort of flattening out my hand a little bit, and I'm coming down on the strings and also picking or strumming the strings, but it's muted. Okay, so I don't have to do anything with the left hand, but just hold the chord. So a good way to practice this is just the first bar, okay? Because it gets a little tricky when you start to change those chords. So let's just, I will play it again, Jersey, in a sec, but let's just focus on the groove of the first bar. So we're not changing any chords and we're just trying to get the muting down. Okay, so you notice that there's a down and then the downstroke mute. And then right from that mute is an upstroke and a downstroke. Okay, so. That's what we're going for, okay? All right, so you're going to want to practice that, you know, if this is sort of something that's a little bit difficult to get going for you. Just practice that, okay? And get that to a point where it feels a lot more natural. If you're still getting some tone out of the acoustic, you sort of have to clamp down a little bit harder, like get down and really just make those strings dead a little bit. And like I'm like just getting right on the string, okay? The strings, okay? Right down there. Oh, Rusty Red. What's up? Okay, cool. All right, so just a little bit of palm muting, you know, because Glenn is saying, you know, he always has trouble with the palm muting kind of thing. And just start out with this part, just resting down by the saddles on the bridge, okay? And I should note, actually, acoustic, we're kind of talking a little bit about the acoustic. All of these exercises, electric, acoustic, it doesn't matter. They all translate, okay? High strings ring out for you, right? So, Alonzo, what's up? So Glenn, what you want to do is focus at first on just strumming the low strings for palm muting. And actually, in fact, I've got the next exercise is a great exercise to work on that, okay? Where we're only focused on the low strings, okay? And then what you might want to do is switch it so that it's just focused on the high strings. So you sort of move that strumming pattern, strumming arm down on a swivel to the higher strings, okay? And then what you want to kind of do is just stretch it out a little bit for a full chord. So use a bar chord. You can see that like the top strings for me kind of ring out too, right? So you're going to get that effect even if you just go for the low strings. That's a way kind of that you can do that. Okay. Now I'm kind of getting a little bit of that thing if I linger on it and if I'm concentrating on the high strings. But if you're getting that percussive mute sound out of the low strings, then, okay? Even if you have to do that where you're just sort of strumming the low strings, okay? All right, then let's look at the second bar, because what happens is we stay on that G, and then we're going to switch to the F right before one of those strums, one of those muted strums. So, okay, so it's going to be an up, down on a G, and then an up on the F, and then the mute. And then you switch on the mute, you're going to switch to a C. And then it's sort of the same shape after that. Okay? So this by no means is an easy chord progression, especially those changes with the F chord in the middle. Okay? So leave that for now if you're having trouble just getting this technique down, is what I would do. So just and as I talk about all the time, notice how in this case, you know, we've just got eighth note strums going on, right? Quarters and eighths. So I can keep this down up going. And I'm choosing when to go in for the strum and when to go in for the muted strum. Okay? Make sense? Ron, it helps if I move the hand up from the bridge. Hard to mute right next to the bridge. Yeah, whatever you got to do. Okay? Getting right next to the bridge is more important if you're actually palm muting a chord that you want to poke out a little bit. Okay? But if you're just doing a mute, it doesn't matter. You just want to get that percussive sound of the strings. Okay, so you can have that anywhere you'd like, right? We get into the next exercise, you're going to want to be down by the bridge because you want these chords to pop through, as we'll talk about in a bit. All right, so Fringled Six Fingers, Here I Thought I Knew That Song. Always something to learn. All right, cool. And by no means, like, I was thinking of that song when it came up the exercise, but I'm not 100% sure that that's like the correct way to play it. It's just sort of inspired me to do this exercise, okay? I know it's got something like that, but there might be some more strums in there. I don't know. But so you may want to check that. But it's sort of got that vibe. We'll just leave it at that, all right? Rusty, first time I've kept up, I'm concerned. What's up, Ozman? Good to see you. You made it. All right. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of crunch here and do a little more of a rock rhythm here. And so we're talking about palm muting, so this leads in nicely for this. So I'm starting on a C power chord. Oh, Erica, I don't like when that happens either. We've got the acoustic whenever the pick goes flying inside the guitar and you're sitting there shaking it, trying to get it out. Oh, man, we've all been there, right? All right. So I've got a C power chord, 3rd fret of the A string, 5th fret of the D string, and then the 5th fret of the G string as well. The power chord is a root 5 chord. It's not major, it's not minor. It just has a root and a 5th in it. So it sounds really good with the distortion, used all the time in rock, blues, and country and all that kind of stuff. So let's look at this pattern. We'll just, once again, just focus in on the rhythm of the first bar of exercise 4. This is what we're on now. And for those of you joining late who have not been on the session before, just expand the description below here. There's a PDF, a link to a PDF, and you can follow along with the tabs. Okay, so this is an exercise where I'm going to palm mute some of the rhythm, right? So I'm actually going to be picking or strumming the the A string and the D string, 3rd and 5th fret. And then I'm going to open up and do a full strum on the full power chord, including the G string, 5th fret. That's what we're doing. It's all 8th notes, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? Douglas, what's up? He's here. Excellent. And there you go. Not major or minor, Ron. I have those days too. All right. So palm muting, like we were talking about. Karate chopper down here by the saddles and just very light, okay? Because in this case, lightly just resting on the strings, we want sort of the character of the notes to come out. It's just dampened, okay? And it just, you know, it's something you can experiment with. As you move away from the saddles, it chokes it out quite a bit, right? And And so just depending on what the music is, sometimes you want to bring it in a little bit and make it super tight, right? Like a, and other times you want it to kind of just bloom out just a little bit, right? So we're just dampening just very softly, okay? So I'm resting against it and then strumming. And then I'm going to do 2 strums. And then on the 3rd strum, I'm going to lift it off, okay? And open up, just do an open strum and then come back down. Same thing, okay? All right, Mike MC. Yeah, a little bit tighter on that one, right? On Barracuda. Right, so this is our rhythm that we're going to move through 4 chords here with the same rhythm all the way through. So I'm going to play this whole exercise slowly here, and we'll talk about it a little bit more here. So. Whoops. All right, so that's the exercise without my mistake. We'll do it one more time. That's what we're going for. So you can practice some smooth chord changes, right? And we're also moving the same chord shape onto different string sets, right? We're starting from the A, D, and G strings and going down a string set to the E, A, and D strings, going back and forth on that, also moving up the neck. So this is a very typical sort of rock riff rhythm, okay? So yeah, palm muting. Definitely, you know, at first just try and get it so that all the strums are palm muted and you're happy with the sound. You're happy with just kind of the way it's popping out. And I'm actually resting on those saddles in this case to get to come out and just dampen it just a bit. And so just practice going back and forth first before you get into the specific rhythm and with this chord progression. And then it all becomes one exercise and should be a good one, a good little workout, right? Making sense? Y'all with me? All right. Let's pop over to a pop R&B riff. All right, so key of C. Let me play it first, and you'll totally recognize a sound like this, and we'll talk about it a bit. So let's see. Okay, so that's the riff, sort of R&B-ish, right? But what's really cool is just sort of this fill in here using some slides. We're starting off on the C bar chord, major bar chord, 8th position. So I'm barring down on the 8th fret, adding the 10th fret of the A and D string, 9th fret of the G. And I sort of tab this out because usually, you know, when I'm doing 1, 2, something like that, I'm going to strum sort of the lower part of the chord and then the full chord with a little more jam, but then cut it off quickly. Once again, that's sort of an R&B approach where you're, you know, sort of making that backbeat, that second beat of the bar, like a little bit crisper and a little bit like a, you know, like accenting that. So, right. And then we're just adding a fill in here. And I didn't tab it out, but, you know, I'm starting on the 8th fret to slide up to the 10th fret, okay? I'm just barring down on the top 2 strings. And then you want to just pick it once with the quick slide, and then you're going to slide back down to where you started, in this case on the 8th fret, right? And then sort of the same thing, 3 to 5 back to 3 on the top 2 strings. You hear that sort of sound all the time. That kind of thing. Really cool, right? So second bar, okay? Here I'm going just to the upper part of the F chord. Okay, you could do the full F chord if you want. Probably could have done that. But instead, you know, a lot of times in R&B pop, we'll just use the top parts of the chord. Okay, might be a little bit easy to get it. Oh yes, that's How Strong My Love Is. Yeah, Jazz House. Absolutely, got stuff like that. That's a good one. For those of you on Guitar Tricks, check it out. That's How Strong My Love Is. Is that Otis Redding? I can't remember who that was. I think so. I taught that one. There's a song tutorial on Guitar Tricks. It's a great one for this kind of guitar playing. Yes, yes, indeed. Bend it, or you can even do the one where you hammer on, okay? Just on the B string, up and back. Kind of like that, right? That also sounds great too, a little alternate way to do it. So I'm going to the 4 chord in the key of C, which is F. And, you know, with a strum and then a backbeat sort of strum there. And then up to the G chord. And this time I'm strumming the G chord. Okay, it's the same shape, right? Should these slides work on acoustic? Absolutely. You can make this happen on acoustic too. Totally. Okay. Might have to dig in a little bit more, work a little harder for it, right? As of most things on the acoustic, but absolutely. Sounds great on acoustic, right? Okay, so I'm just moving that same shape up, that major bar chord shape on the top 4 strings, moving it up to G, and using my pinky to add the 5th fret of the G string onto the chord. That gives me the sus4, G sus4, and then pulling off. So I'm keeping my middle finger on the 4th fret of the G string. Okay? All right? So. That's the idea with that one. Okay, so some tricks, pop R&B kind of thing, right? Cool. In a Floyd Rose, what's the best place to palm mute? Same thing, right there. Saddles look a lot different, right? But it's basically wherever that string's coming out of the metal, you want to rest the palm right on that at first, but experiment a little bit. Like it's going to be in that area, okay? On the Floyd, you've got the string coming out. They have it. I don't have my Floyd in here, so I wouldn't be able to show it, but it's basically where you see the string coming out, basically is where you want to just start out by putting the karate chop on there and just seeing how it sounds. You're going to want to move it a little bit just to see the difference. Okay. Cool, cool. All right. Funk, always fun to play some funky kind of riffs, right? So once again, some muting. This time we're using some muting with the left hand, or I should say with the fretting hand, right? Got some lefties out there maybe. I'm going to play this example first and we'll talk about it. Okay, so. Okay, so I'll talk about the strumming in a bit. Let's talk about the chords first. Starting off with a G13. What I should say is that we're starting off with a G9 shape, and we're going to add the pinky onto it to make the 13, okay? So I've got 10th fret of the A string, 9th fret of the D string, and then you want to bar down on the top 3 strings at the 10th fret. This gives me a G9, G dominant 9th. Okay, so it's basically a G dominant 7th with an added note, which is the 9. Okay. Now, when I add my pinky on the top fret, it turns it into a 13 chord. So it's still a dominant chord, G dominant 13. So those first 2 beats are going to be, first 2 are going to be this. Okay. Like that. So the first 2 chords, I've got it on the 12th fret. Thanks, Ozban. Cool, man. I was wondering if someone was going to comment on the shirt. I like it. All right. So our strums are down up, 16th note strums, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a down, up, 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 down. That's what we want to keep going. Okay. Now, first down up are on the chord. And then the next down up are muted. And so what you have to do is release the pressure off the frets, but not off the strings. Okay, do you notice that I still have my fingers in position, but they're not pressed down, and you get the mutes. Okay, next beat. Now it's the G9, so it's down to the 10th fret here on the top string. Same thing, down up on the chord, but then down up on the mute. So you release the pressure, and you get the percussive mute, right? So that's as far as you should go. If you're new to this kind of thing, just focus on the first and second beats, or even just the first beat for a long time, then the second beat. You want to go in pieces, okay? And just get used to this. Okay? Now, at the end of that second beat, it's another one of those quick chord changes where we're coming down 2 frets to an F9. So I've got the 8th fret of the A, 7th fret of the D, barring down on the 8th fret of the top 3 strings. So it's the same shape. You're just moving it down 2 frets, and you're going to strum that on an upstroke, and then release it for a downstroke mute, move it up 1 fret. And so we're doing a chromatic thing, right? And then back up to the G9, and then that's also on an upstroke, so it leaves you with the last beat of the bar, down, up, mutes. So. Okay. Another cool thing you can do with this is play around with a swing feel, a swing groove, okay? And that would be your upstroke is delayed a little bit to make it even funkier, or even like kind of just add some swing. Like that. Okay, totally different feel, right? Sort of subtle, like, you know, kind of the difference between the two. Here's straight. Now, if I just delay that upstroke, okay? All right, going smoothly. I love it, Hanak. All right, man. Cool. So you can't go wrong with, you know, rhythm guitar, funky kind of things. Really works on your groove and your feel and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, really great exercises just overall. That's going to, you know, you don't need to like funk to get a lot out of these kind of exercises, okay? Because you transfer, you know, just having a good feel and relaxed strumming and all that stuff. It applies to all genres, right? Your overall sort of skills. So do not shy away. I love it. What's up, Rich? Rich, test. Is it working? Are we dropping out tonight? I know we had some problems last night. Hopefully it's going smooth tonight. All right. Exercise 7. Wonder what was happening last week. Okay. A little bit of a rock riff, and what we're going to do is incorporate some strumming and arpeggiation into you know, a riff, and go back and forth between the two. I'm using sus2 chords for this, so let's just not worry about the arpeggiations right now. Just look at the chords. I've got the first one is a C sus2, and so I'm going to bar down at the 3rd fret from the A string all the way up, adding the 5th fret on the D and G. Love these chords. Okay? Really floaty sounding, really cool. Okay, so what we're doing is another 16th note sort of strum here. So it's a down, up, down, down. And on that last downstroke, I'm moving the same shape down 2 frets. And that gives us B flat, sus4. I think I called it a sus3, which doesn't make any sense. So please ignore that on there. It's a sus2. Did I say sus4 just now? It's a sus2. Okay. I think I hit 3 by mistake on the handout. I apologize. I really apologize. There's always a mistake somewhere on there. I never catch it until we're live. So I apologize for that, everybody. But this is a sus2, B flat sus2. We're going to stay on that chord. Sus3 is a major. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Stay away, Ron. Let's not confuse. Let's not confuse. All right, we're going to keep on that B flat sus2 and adding some arpeggiations. Okay, so I've sort of notated where the upstrokes and downstrokes are that make sense to me, but it's not a hard, fast rule here. Go with whatever feels most natural to you, okay? But typically what I do on arpeggiating is going in the direction of whatever direction you're going with the strings. So in this case, I'm coming down the string. So I'll start on an upstroke, and then what happens is that last pick on the G string 3rd fret, I move to a downstroke because I know there's another upstroke coming, going back up to the high string. So like that. So that's how I've done it there. If you want to, you can go. You can also do it all upstrokes. It wouldn't be a reel without mistakes. Thanks, Glenn. I appreciate that. Okay, that's the idea there. And then we're going to move this up to the 6th fret. So now I've got an E flat sus2, same chord shape with the root on the 6th fret of the A string. And this time I'm going to move up 2 frets for that last downstroke. Okay. And that gives me an F sus2 and the same arpeggiation. All right, so. Make sense? So wherever we have an exercise or an example where we're going to strum a chord and then do some arpeggiation on it, always a good thing. Great skill to have and very common. Okay? Excellent. Brings us to our last example. How's everybody doing? Everybody good? All right. So I didn't sort of tab the whole idea here. I'm going to play sort of what I'm going for with this last one, Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of groove, okay? And I'm going to play an extended version of this idea in exercise 8 as a 12-bar blues, and then we're going to kind of focus on the ins and outs of it because it's kind of a tricky one. But this is sort of a Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of way to play a 12-bar blues, and it's super fun once you kind of get the hang of it. Okay, so let's see if I can do this. All right, well, I pooched it at the end, but I think you get the idea of what I'm going for here, okay? Thank you, Douglas. I appreciate it. All right, and once you sort of get this going, you can really get, I mean, Stevie got fast with this stuff, right? that kind of idea. All right, so it looks a little bit weird when you tab this out, actually, because what you're actually doing is on your downstrokes, you are hitting either chords or single notes. Okay, and this is a you know, if you look at the root notes of what I'm doing in this example, sort of outlining just like a walking bass kind of thing. Okay, but what's funny is that it doesn't even matter what's in between. It's showing just the open strings, which doesn't really even make any harmonic sense, okay? But usually he's going so fast, it doesn't matter. It's just a groove, right? By the time you get going faster on this, it's a percussive thing. You don't have time to process that, oh, those notes aren't really a chord. It's just the open strings. So that's what he's doing with that, okay? I'm starting on the E chord, okay? And so I sort of transcribed the first part of the chord, including that major third on the first fret of the G string, right? Right. And then once your fingers move away and start playing the single notes, then all you're doing is hitting the open strings up top, like the top three strings on the upstroke. Okay, so that kind of idea is what you want to practice. Okay, so and again, look at the strum, right? We're playing a shuffle, right? So that upstroke is like pushed closer to the next downstroke, right? See, when I play it slow, right, it kind of doesn't sound right because the notes are sustaining out a little bit longer. But no, Mario, we don't upstroke. Sorry, we don't mute those upstrokes. There's no muting. It's wide open, right? It's just because we get going fast that we kind of mute it afterwards when we hit the single notes, right? And where the muting is happening is once I kind of hit down here, right? When I hit down with the fingered root notes that I'm playing, that kind of cuts off the upper, like it mutes those upper strings, right? And so in between, all I'm doing is just moving to the next note. And when I get to the next note, you can see that the flesh on this finger is muting the high strings, right? Okay. It's a little tricky to get going, obviously, but so I'm just giving you this like sort of practice idea to just work with for a little while and try to get it under your fingers. That's what we're doing, okay? And then what you can do is start to expand and experiment, and you want to think about the notes, you know, from a walking bass line, right? Those kind of notes, right? Major pentatonic or like sort of the bluesy kind of notes. And then you can move it up to the A, right? Okay, then I go to a ninth chord here for the 5 chord with a chromatic kind of, and you're on a B, right? So you want to know where those you sort of have to map out what notes work for the melody, and then all you're doing is just. So yeah, you're muting kind of after you do the upstroke, but you definitely got the open strings, that kind of thing. And so that sounds pretty messy because we're doing it kind of a little bit slower than it's intended to be. It's intended to be a little quicker. You know, Stevie, get going with this thing, right? So kind of once you get it going, you'll start to feel how natural it becomes. And then it's a matter of just working in a 12-bar blues sort of framework, right? Like the 12-bar blues form, where you're figuring out what chords to throw in there and how to do all that, right? Cool. All right, so yeah, I always try to end off with something a little more tricky, right? Just to kind of go away with it and see what we can kind of work towards a little bit. You speed up to reduce the artifacts. That's it, exactly. Fringold, absolutely, right? You kind of don't notice when stuff's faster. You know, when it's kind of messy, it goes by too quick to sort of register that, oh my goodness, he's not even playing a chord. It's just open strings, right? Mac Mike, when you play the higher strings and mute the lower, are you fretting anything, or are the higher strings open? The higher strings are open, right? On the upstroke, you know, I'm moving my hand right off and I'm getting ready to go into the next lower note, right? And as soon as I go in for the lower note on the downstroke, that cuts off the open strings, right? Right? That's what mutes it, right? So, right? Sounds kind of awful when you're doing it that slow, but you kind of have to do it that slow to kind of get the hang of it, right? Right on, Alonzo. I appreciate that. What's up, Michelle? Excellent. Oh, yes. Formerly Shell. All right. Good. Jersey Red, Rusty, thank you. I'm glad you dug it. Mac Mike, awesome. King 50, thank you. Right on, everybody. Duke 49, what does the slash mean? The sixth string, fourth fret. What am I missing here? Sixth string, fourth fret. Oh, the slash. It's a slide into it. Okay? Because I'm coming from that slash, just it means a slide up. Okay? Okay? Like that. Right? The other ones don't have a slide. I'm just hitting it, right? We do Zoom so we can all jam together. Would love to do that, but the latency would be very preventative. Somebody's got to figure that out. Right on, Danny. Thank you. Glenn, I agree, man. It flies by the hour. Absolutely. Thanks, Jim Gregory. Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Igor. Peter. One day we can, I don't know, we'll have a summit or something. We'll all get in the same room and jam, right? Cool. Duke 49. All right. All right, everybody. Erica, thank you. Peter, Teams. Yeah. You mean for the jam? I'm not sure. Right on, Jim. Thanks for coming back, checking it out. Mike Mick. Right on. Thank you. Excellent, everybody. Well, take care. Have a great weekend. Have a great week next week. We'll be back same time next week. I'll have to figure out a topic, but I'm sure it'll be good and hopefully inspiring. All right. Fringold, thank you. Ron, it's the weekend. Rusty, I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. Oh, John, don't worry. Get it on replay, all right? Rick and Sticks, excellent. Arthur, excellent. I love that. All right, everybody. Take care. Have a good one. Cheers.